Hello, hello, hello. Oh, hey. Oh, hi, couch. Hey, 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 Grace and Mrs. Cassandra. Thank you all for being here tomorrow. And for everybody coming in, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's the Wednesday show on a Thursday, huh? But it's still going to be about one of those cases that just makes you scratch your head. And this one we've been following for over a year. And it also gives us the opportunity to talk about a few other cases because, as I titled these legal reputation remedy fails, it's all about using the legal system or hijacking the legal system and then to actually fix some kind of reputation damage that you feel or some slight. Now, these are normally civil lawsuits, all of these. Uh, Not as dramatic in the courtrooms and all as you do when you get your big, thieves and thievery and assaults and murders that we normally cover. I mean, we cover more murder than anything, don't we, around here? But I will say this one, well, although it does have victims, because, when anybody files a suit on you, you feel victimized. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about Logan Paul's suit against Coffeezilla over everything that happened with CryptoZoo. Now, we've been following it on and off, you know, on and off since July of 2024. Was it July or June of 2024 when Logan Paul decided, after clearly stating the year before that he wasn't going to sue after he threatened to sue because, he and Coffeezilla worked it out, but after everything went and he didn't pay the victims of his CryptoZoo failing, you know, the lost money, the people that didn't, the product that never was. He blamed it all on the partners. And all of a sudden, a year later, after he's getting a lot of pushback, suffering some reputational damage everywhere, he decides to blame it all on Coffeezilla and file a lawsuit. And well, I thought it was ridiculous from the beginning, and very retaliatory. And well, there have been some moves for Logan Paul in some cases, and actually for Coffeezilla in others. The first thing we talked about when it was first filed was how really, calculated it was for Logan Paul to file in Texas. Because, of course, then Coffeezilla couldn't do an anti-slap. And an anti-slap is a way to exercise the freedom of speech amendment and some other things to actually dismiss a lawsuit before it gets even into discovery or anything, because it can be seen for what it actually is. But he didn't have that recourse, Coffeezilla, and he had to actually go the longer route. And he did file a motion to dismiss, which unfortunately was denied. And now they're in discovery, and there's been quite a few movements there. It seems like through the filings, from what I read, and all of this is available on Pacer, by the way. And if you're in my Discord, I can give you links to anything in the Coffeezilla room because we set one up. And I am a fan of Coffeezilla. So, I have to say, I am a little biased here. I don't think Coffeezilla did anything. He proved what he said. So I don't see how Logan Paul, looking for his reputational repair, is going to get it for defamation, because almost I would say that Coffeezilla was not telling untruths, and if it's a truth, it can't be defamation. Logan Paul, in the end, was responsible for everybody he hired to create CryptoZoo. And he can cry into the wind, Paul Diddums, all he wants about those guys being horrible and messing up. It was still his responsibility. And he is the one that promoted it, even when things were going bad with those partners. He still was out there promoting it to the people who bought it based on his influence and because of him. He is directly responsible. It was his project. He owns it. He hired the people to create it for him. What they did about it is still under some umbrella of responsibility. As far as I see it, is anybody who runs a company or puts a product out there. But what do you think? I mean, am I wrong? Hmm, I don't feel wrong about that one. Makes common sense to me. But legally, he thinks Coffeezilla went too far because he made so many videos on it, and they were entertaining. And yes, well, one of the judges' rulings did decide that his use of the word scam and fraud over and over again could have some impact on Logan Paul's reputation and damage his reputation and could be defamatory if it wasn't actually a scam. So that will go to the jury. Although a lot of the text messages that Logan Paul tried to get, do you know Logan Paul wanted to get every single text message, email, and correspondence that Coffeezilla had with every single producer and everybody that works on his team as work product, as a journalist, for the whole year or so that he was creating that series on Logan Paul? Well, the judge didn't agree because when it comes down to it, Coffeezilla's investigative journalist, and some of that is private work product. What does it matter what Coffeezilla said to his producer? It's private behind the scenes. What matters is what Coffeezilla said to the public. Okay? Yeah. So you say, Rocky Couch, I did see your comment about Amber Heard, and you're right. That Depp Heard trial was very entertaining, and I had to say I had a lot of fun doing it with Mandy in the after hours too. This one is rather entertaining too, in the kind of way that a train derailment captures your attention. Exactly, exactly. Because I don't really know if Logan Paul's going to get the outcome he wants. Just the filing of it didn't do much for his reputation. Hint, hint, Drake versus UMG didn't really go very well. The reputational hit alone wasn't worth it. Even if you got any ground, even if you would have won, which you didn't because the whole thing got dismissed, the reputational hit, was it worth it? What face did you save? Looked like sour grapes. Looked like, poor Didum was having a tantrum over the whole thing. And every filing showed it. And unfortunately, in Logan Paul's, it's the same. He's having an outright fit. So we're going to get into like the big ones, the big filings. But let me just give you a little bit of a refresher here. So we got an hour on this one. So for the background, yes, it was June, not July. Let me myself. And the filing is not in Coffeezilla's name. It's public knowledge that his name is Steven Findelstein, and is suing him personally and his actual companies. The production company, Coffee Break Productions, that Coffeezilla operates on. Now, all of this started in June, and I read some of it then, and I did make a lot of fun of it, you know. So, you know, Logan Paul's an influencer, and he actually just uses his popularity and his celebrity to get people into situations to believe him. And he tries to say he doesn't push crypto, but he actually did. He's been involved in things before Crypto Zoo. So, like, Coffeezilla spent a lot of time during his series calling him out for these things. And rightly so. Coffeezilla does not come without receipts, and he does a lot of interviews. He talks to people directly. He was actually involved with the conversations with those partners and all, and with the whole thing. And he came with receipts that even what Logan Paul had admitted to and then rescinded back. And the knowledge that Logan Paul is saying he didn't have, which he did, because actually text messages and correspondence prove it. So I am not saying, nor is Coffeezilla, that Logan Paul completely on purpose defrauded anybody. But when he saw it going bad, he chose not to do anything, and he didn't do right by the that bought this product. He blamed it on everybody else and ran away, tail underneath him, claiming absolutely no responsibility and putting all the blame on everybody else. And that's not really accountability, and that's not how Coffeezilla rolls. Because Logan Paul had said if he found that anything was wrong, he said this to Coffeezilla in one of their actual interview discussions, that he would actually reimburse everybody, that he wasn't trying to rip anybody out. And if it was true that the whole thing was like a scam, he would actually reimburse. But to this day, he is not. And there's another civil lawsuit with those claimants that lost that money against him. Hence, in my humble opinion, and a few other paralegals and legals people that I have heard speak on it and or talk to directly, this lawsuit not only is just sour grapes and oh boo boo's little reputation hurts and I'm going to get it back and I'm going for the big fish, it's also a way to try to get correspondence with all of those claimants, because it's a way around stuff that's been denied in the other civil lawsuit to him, and another way for him to get information to be used in his own civil lawsuit to protect himself in that particular claim that everyone has against him for frauding and scamming them. See what I mean? Yeah. That's come up in the filings several times. The judge did deny the wide scope discovery that actual Logan Paul was looking for, because he doesn't have the right to any other communications outside of his actual claims here against him and the series that Coffeezilla did. Anything else? Well, no. Private works of a journalist or a YouTube journalist or an investigative journalist like Coffeezilla, you don't get it. Even Coffeezilla, smart man, I'm going to have to give him a little praise here. He and his team actually knew that this was probably the direction that Logan Paul was going, and they got a third party to review all those text messages and emails so they could state to the court that there wasn't anything pertinent to Logan Paul's case in it. Therefore, the judge, knowing they went the extra mile, a third party actually said, this is stuff you don't really have. It is actually violating Coffeezilla's rights for you to have it. There's nothing here. You can't go on a fishing expedition because we beat you to it. We checked out the pond before you got there with your rod. So go away. No fish for you, Logan Paul. And I actually enjoyed reading that particular, not that they said those words, but that's the image that was in my mind as I read the final stuff from the judge after the filing by Coffeezilla and his attorneys. Their filings are succinct and well laid out and very good. Now, Logan Paul did get a little bit of a plus, okay. Coffeezilla's motion to dismiss, like I said, was denied, because the judge did find that the use of his language, his exuberance, his sometimes even his innuendo would be up to a jury on to whether there was malice there and he purposely defamed Logan Paul. It ruined his reputation. But then there is the question on, if you already have a pretty shitty reputation, what's there to ruin? I mean, that's what I would be asking. And we will get to that, because that actually kind of sort of comes up in a little bit of a way. Okay. So in March of 2025, the motion to dismiss was denied because, like the judge said, there was a plausible showing that certain statements calling Logan Paul a scammer could be construed as provably false statements of fact rather than protected opinion on the behalf of Coffeezilla. And that recommendation was to go forward to a jury and to let the case go forward. So the case didn't get dropped. So then in the summer, okay, there were disputes over discovery and blame shifting. Like I said, in July, there was a ruling limiting Paul's ability to shift blame to the CryptoZoo co-founders, saying he could not claim that they were solely responsible for reputation damage while pursuing Coffeezilla for defamation. You can't say it was them that did it and they ruined my reputation and then blame Coffeezilla for saying so, because by doing that, are you not proving a fact? This will come up in a trial in front of the jury, I am sure, because that filing by Logan Paul's team, I think, was one of the biggest mistakes that they made. This every filing that Logan Paul and his team make is full of emotion and sour grapes, blame shifting and pointing of fingers, and just, well, it's like watching a toddler run through the legal system stamping his feet. And I can almost hear the wah wah wahs as they go. It's ridiculous. And if you could read these things, and I'd recommend that you do, they're a little bit of fun. It is. I mean, these are the pictures I have in my head. Like, I've already admitted to a little biased. This, after all, is the other true crime show I do about the legal system, where I feel a little freer to express my opinions and how I feel about things, and not just take the black and white. Because I'm telling you, it's hard to read this in black and white and not see all the hilarious color pictures that pop into my head as I'm reading the stuff that Logan Paul's team files. No, I'm not bashing the lawyers. They're decent lawyers. But the case is frivolous, in my opinion. And it's a little late. The reputation's in tatters, not because Coffeezilla called you a scammer, but because, Logan Paul, of everything you did about it. That's why. 2 or 3 years of you running away from the situation, blaming everybody you can, saying one thing and doing another, not coming through on anything you promised anyone. Well, those are all things that damage your reputation, an already not so great one. I mean, I know you think you're wonderful. And I know some other people that you work with think you do too, because you make them good money. But I think you're a grifter and a hack. And, well, I think you're responsible here. It was your company. I think you should man up. But then again, let's get back to the case. So that's what happened in July, that Logan Paul tried to shift the blame. And the judge was like, you cannot shift blame and still sue Coffeezilla. Like, if your reputation was hurt by what your partners did so dramatically and it's all their fault, how is Coffeezilla on suit here for defamation? You can't have one. You can't have both. Okay. And then in September, the Discover motions intensified. They go back and forth about seeking editorial communications and raw materials from Coffeezilla's production team. They wanted everything that they used and did in producing this series, that they might show malice in Coffeezilla's reporting, because maybe in talking to his producer, maybe he called Logan Paul a name or something. But actually, as I said, since a third party reviewed everything ahead of time and Coffeezilla's team was prepared with that, the judge said, nah, nope. You know, Coffeezilla's attorney countered that Logan Paul's own public statements and the media fallout were responsible for any reputational harm, not Coffeezilla. Remember the apology that he did? Remember actually coming out and talking about it so much and how sorry he was, and he was going to do this and he was going to do that, and then he didn't do it. He didn't do it. And then, well, then we get to October. And this is where it gets really a lot of fun, and why I wanted to talk about it now is because on October 17th, okay, there was a ruling that did state that Paul could go forward to discovery and everything, and potentially a trial later rather than being dismissed, because they reaffirmed that Coffeezilla's statements could meet the legal of defamation if proven false, but that he could not get the production discovery to prove malice because the third party has gone through and there was nothing there. Now, they're still going through discovery, but this next one actually is what really, really kind of gets me. Okay. In early September of 2025, in a motion that has not been decided on by the judge yet, even though he decided that the trial could go forward, and we're possibly looking at an actual trial for spring of 2026. Okay. Coffeezilla he did a filing submitted in, like I said, the beginning of September, and it was titled Motion for Leave to Designate Responsible Third Parties. And in it, what I would say, a well calculated and brilliant move, well paid for, Coffeezilla. I'm sorry this is costing you so much money, but this one was worth it because that's motion to leave to designate responsible third parties in the Logan Paul defamation case, because this motion included over 30 attached exhibits and has become one of the most pivotal procedural moves happening so far in this case, in my humble opinion. Okay. In Listen, Coffeezilla's motion listed a broad range of third parties, including other YouTubers, news outlets, crypto journalists, and online commentators who had also publicly referred to CryptoZoo project as a scam or a fraudulent scheme. Yep. The feelings on the filing's underlying argument was that Coffeezilla's reporting did not occur in isolation, but was part of a larger, widely shared public discourse based on facts already circulating long before his investigative videos were published. And there's a lot of truth to that. There was a lot of reporting about this before Coffeezilla's first video. Coffeezilla's lodge. Coffeezilla has a great reputation. Logan Paul was personally upset that Coffeezilla targeted him because he knew what it meant. There was some substance behind it. That all of the stuff that everybody else was saying wasn't just going to be media fluff, that there was going to be facts here. And he got pissed because, although he had many conversations with Coffeezilla, and we have seen the text messages and the emails and even heard the interviews, well, Logan Paul could not convince Coffeezilla that he was just a victim of the people he hired, that he had no responsibility to anybody, that he's a victim also, and it's terrible, and it wasn't a scam, and he knew nothing about it. And he didn't like the idea that Coffeezilla didn't buy it, and he kept digging, and he found the evidence that Logan Paul actually did know stuff was going on, and that he didn't pay due diligence or attention to what was going on in his own company. And he was really only worried about the profits. He knew things weren't working. They decided to roll it out anyway. He knew people were complaining. He knew that there was things. He knew he couldn't get a hold of the people he hired. He knew what was going on behind the scenes. He didn't do anything about it. So were the other guys wrong? Absolutely. Does Logan Paul have no responsibility? Not when I'm looking at it. But it's going to be up to a judge and a jury. Now, this actually filing, in his filing, Coffeezilla's team pointed out that major outlets like CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, and Decrypt, along with influencers in the cryptocurrency commentary space, had used similar language about CryptoZoo's failure. The scam label had already become the dominant and accepted description in public reporting by the time Paul sued, indicating Coffeezilla's statements merely reflected widely published public opinion based on documented evidence. Okay. Now, within the same pleading, Coffeezilla's counsel also argued that the defamation suit constitutes a form of retaliation, something that's going to now, with this filing, become somewhat evident to a jury, in my humble opinion. This lawsuit is an attempt by Logan Paul to punish and silence investigative criticism following Coffeezilla's viral expose series on YouTube. The filing maintained that Paul's motivations were not to clear his name, but to chill investigative reporting through costly litigation and bypass discovery restrictions in the parallel CryptoZoo class action case, where a stay had limited Paul's access to evidence. Like I said, that's what I thought in the beginning, and I found it Well, quite reassuring to read it in the filing from Coffeezilla's own lawyers that that's what they think too. So, the federal court has not ruled on this third party designation motion yet, but during a late September hearing, the magistrate judge Henry Bemperad acknowledged its complexity and signaled he would take the matter under advisement pending supplemental briefing from both sides. The motion's outcome could significantly affect whether Coffeezilla is able to shift fault or contextualize the alleged defamatory statements with industry wide reporting trends. In summary, Coffeezilla's filing serves a dual purpose. Defensively, it seeks to show his reporting mirrored that of numerous legitimate outlets that had already concluded, undermining Logan Paul's malice assertion, which, because they are both public figures, he must meet the malice of the defamation. And strategically, it proves Paul's case as a retaliatory act. That there were plenty of other people he could sue, and he didn't go after any of them. And it's designed and designated to intimidate journalists and gain access to evidence through a civil route that was blocked in the class action CryptoZoo case. So like I said, those were the actual CryptoZoo ones, but others that actually media outlets that were also cited in the filing were BBC News, Business Insider, like I said, CoinDesk and all like that, and Deep Dive, many of the crypto outlets, but also Rolling Stone and Vulture, pop culture, independent content creators and influencers were cited by like Philip DeFranco and the H3 podcast with Ethan Klein, Some Ordinary Gamer, Mudahar and Kavos and Atazi and The Right Opinion. These are big channels, okay? So why is he only suing Coffeezilla? Methinks Didham's going to have a big mountain to climb if the judge actually lets this go to jury with that motion and lets them actually bring that in front of them. Those creators' videos and podcasts, they were presented as evidence of pre-existing reputational damage. In other words, your reputation was already in shreds. How could I have heard it? Everybody knew about this. This was not newsflash, breaking news. It wasn't my reporting that put you in the spotlight. It wasn't what I said that put you under. That's the point that Coffeezilla and his lawyers are making. But anyway, that to me was like, I was on the right track about it. I mean, being a Coffeezilla fan, of course, that's what I thought, especially after listening to Logan Paul whine about it for a couple of years and listening to him with back and forth about what he was going to do about anything and then actually not doing anything about the CryptoZoo failure. He promised a lot of money. He didn't do it. He didn't do the payouts. He said he put X amount of millions away to do it. And then, somehow or another, the money just didn't get distributed. This motion proves that there were, it tries to prove that because numerous credible outlets and online commentaries independently describe CryptoZoo in nearly identical terms, it really undermines Logan Paul's assertion that his harm stemmed uniquely from Coffeezilla's series. And furthermore, Coffeezilla's team asserted that Paul's lawsuit, like he said, is just retaliatory, aiming to silence him and punish him for helping put the facts out there. And the broader public discourse around the project failures is actually where the reputational damage happened. And you can't defame someone with common known knowledge. Basically, before Coffeezilla even put out one video, CryptoZoo was already being referred to as a scam and a fraud. And I think that this was a great filing by them. A great filing. But now, let me check the chat because, I had fun with that. I really did. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so nice. Hey, Paula, nice to see you. There aren't too many Claires in the world with my spelling, so I'm glad to have anyone join. Anyone join at all with the name. That's really great. That's really great. Okay, I'm just checking through the through the chat now. Oh, my chat keeps disappearing. What the heck is going on? Okay. Hey, Wrecker, if you're listening, thanks for popping in with the otters and for feeding them. I agree, Couch. It's a bit of a challenge to be unbiased here. Coffeezilla is kind of a golden boy of taking down big name scammers, while Logan Paul is a human sewage fountain. I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that reputationally, there wasn't a lot of great reputation there to actually destroy. And so I was quite surprised that he actually would spend the money. But apparently, he has money to spend, you know. And he says just in terms of public image. Okay, I agree with that. His public image is sewer. Yes, yeah. Miss Cassandra says anyone who believed Logan Paul of all people isn't bright. This is true, and anybody that goes to any influencer for crypto is like, well, yeah. Grace, that's a great word. In private, I do refer to him that way. I really do. I really do. Okay. Oh. How dare he say true things about me? I know, right? It's like, listen, I don't like what you said. Listen, as we learned in another suit just recently in the true crime, well, it's not a lawsuit. Actually, it was a restraining order, but it was a court proceeding. And well, we learned in that one that just because people say things you don't like, it doesn't exactly make it a stalking order. And actually, more has come out. For those of you that don't know, I'm speaking about hidden true crime in Lauren Matthews filing a restraining order because she was very upset about things that were being said to her about from a former friend, someone in that she worked with, who was doing some TikTok videos to a very small audience, but she didn't like the things she said. And you know what? Like, I think it's both mean girl stuff on both sides, because now looking at all the documentation from the audio and what was brought forward from the other side and what the judge had to say, and then the reclarification of the restraining order based on actions that Lauren herself had taken in regards to seeing the person in a public place and then still going there to that public place, and then trying to get the person moved. Like, it looked more like harassment and mean girl stuff on Lauren's side there. I understand she was uncomfortable being around her, and I don't blame her for that, but you don't just go in there and just like put yourself in the situation. It does look retaliatory when you're trying to do that and keep sidling up next to them. And there was a lot of that in this audio, which I'm going to drop a link. A lot of it is redacted for last names. This was a public file. It's everywhere. I don't feel I'm doing anything terrible by releasing it, and I definitely don't mean to violate anybody's privacy in any way. Okay, but this public audio is important. It does have some witness testimony in it, or declarations. It does have the back and forth of the attorneys with the judge. It does have the judge clarifying that restraining orders need common sense. You don't get to retaliate against somebody just because you don't like what they're saying. And a stalking restraining order is not to be used to silence another party in any way. And the judge actually made clear that even if he made a permanent restraining order that this person couldn't go near Lauren, it would not silence her. She would be allowed to say what she wants as long as it's true. It wouldn't be defamation. And Lauren would have to file a defamation lawsuit against her, or a claim against her, to stop her from speaking about untruths, because stalking restraining orders are not to be used to violate anybody's freedom of speech. And also felt that Lauren was perhaps trying to hinder her job and the attorney brought forward that they are in the same field. The other party is a photographer that often has to go into courtrooms, and he clarified that, well, they are allowed to be in the same place at the same time, and they should not sit near each other. And he would like them to be 500 feet away, but he understands toward the course of business in public places. We're talking bars and restaurants and hotels, conventions, all related to what they do for a living, that it is impossible to stay, but they should stay as far away from each other they can. And they shouldn't go to each other or talk to each other or stare at each other. And I thought that was appropriate because after I heard the audio, it became apparent that, well, there was someone who was very, very upset and just wanted everything to stop and was trying to silence the other party. Okay. And yeah, there were people talking and things were being said that were not pleasant. I'm not condoning anybody. Let's put it this way. I'm not condoning anybody's behavior in this, except for the few friends on the outside who actually brought to life things that happened to them personally in regards to one or the other party that they felt needed to be said publicly. And they have every right to. And that happens whenever anybody becomes a target of anything, right? Or becomes like the spotlight shown on them. Well, the same thing with Logan Paul. Once crypto hit as being not the best thing and having all these faults, the spotlight was on him. And everybody was talking about him saying the same thing that Coffeezilla was, but they didn't get sued. And here's the thing. Most of the argument in the declarations by Lauren and her producer really involve other people, that they're trying to say that the respondent, the person they filed against, organized to do. And yet their testimony shows that both Lauren and her producer were constantly sitting right up next to them, constantly trying to get in their face. If they were so fearful, why was this? Why was this? Okay. Almost all of the interactions that happened between Lauren Matthews of Hidden True Crime and the respondent, Christina, were actually engaged from Lauren. Her complaints about the other person who used to work with her, Lindsay, every single interaction was engaged first by Lauren. She sought her out. This person didn't even want to have anything to do with her. And so, like, it gave a different light. I mean, my point being, if you're doing something because you want reputational damage to stop, and granted, everything that's being done to Lauren right now is painful and horrible and reputationally horrible, making her look horrible. They're saying horrible things. I don't find that to be right either. Okay, but what she's doing about it, using the legal system to try to balance that made her look really bad. And I think she took a hit there, and I think it's going to take a while to recover. And like I said in my other one where we talked about it just the other day, accountability seems to be the only answer on all sides. I wish they all would just take responsibility for what they're doing. And I think both sides are doing some pretty mean shit to each other. Plain and simple. That needs to stop. Take accountability for what you did. You're not going to like each other. You don't have to like each other. And just move on. And let the chips fall where they may. If Lauren has relationships she needs to rebuild on as far as work and stuff like that, somebody telling their truth when asked about what happened, that's up to the person. She had no contracts that anybody went out of their way to cancel. If people are uncomfortable because you're in the middle of shit, well, that happens. That happens. That's a side effect of being out here. And it's sad and horrible. And like I said, I feel for her. This is emotional and traumatic, and you don't know what to do. And I understand that she's acting a little crazy right now because it's just out of control. But you got to get a hold of yourself and realize there's only so much you can change. People are always going to talk. The more you push on it, the more they talk. I learned that. I learned that, you know. Oh, Grace, are you welcoming the algorithm for me? Did you notice as soon as I said certain words, man, people started flying in. It's just like, you know, but yeah. Well, you didn't get a notification, Shill? I'm sorry. I did put it in the mod room though. Sorry. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Like I said, real life first. Real life first. He's Mrs. Cassandra, I hear you. He's not like, the other one's not a friend of mine either, Mr. Paul. Yeah. Yes, that you know what, Purple, Sheila's talking about the incident in the bar. In For me, that I think I said yesterday that was the deciding factor for me, was when she was reporting that Christina and her friends were in the bar and they were intimidating her, but it actually turned out they did not enter the bar to intimidate her. They were there first, had been there for hours. Grayson had come in, saw they were there, and still Lauren and her came in. And they kept moving tables around to get closer to them. And Lauren had a photographer take a picture to prove that Christina was in sight. And then, she tried to use that against her as a violation of the restraining order. But even the judge said those kind of things are going to happen. And he just expects them to use common sense. And I have to say, like, Judge, I was proud of Judge. Judge was like, stalking order is not a remedy for getting people to stop saying things you don't like. Okay? And it's not going to be a remedy to silence anybody's First Amendment right to do anything or to do their job. It's not going to be retaliatory. He's not accusing Lauren of being retaliatory. He's just putting it clear that if he went forward with this, that's how it was going to be. And then Lauren dropped it. And I think she dropped it that although she had evidence that she was very emotional, there's stuff coming out. I mean, lots of YouTubers are reporting on it now. They're even reporting on the fact that Lauren stated that Grayson was in therapy because of this incident. And lo and behold, they found out that Grayson was in therapy prior. And that's what's being reported. Do I know if it's true or not? No. Do I care? Not really. I'm just using that as a point to, they're picking on every little thing. And that's because you're out here for 9 hours going over every little thing. And I understand that you want to get your power back. But damn, now without accountability, this she said stuff is bad for both sides. Just just outright. Everybody's going to get involved, and now you're going to be upset because everybody's going to be making money on your personal tragedy, on your emotional upset, on your reputation getting put into the spotlight. In every little thing that somebody feels they had a slight with is going to be coming out. And we've been seeing it. We've been seeing it. There's video every day, 2, 3, 4. I still got 20 videos today. Yep. Thank you, Shill. Just gifted 10 memberships. That was very, very cool of you. That means you'll see on the other side who they went to. They went to Maggie Go and Steven and Joe Black and Big Zebra and Native Atheist and Turling Test 2, and Charlie Hobo and Clarence. Okay, let's see. Wow. And it does look like Mrs. Cassandra. Did you get one? That's great. That's awesome. And Wrecker also and got one. Mrs. Cassandra, thank you so much, Shill. I really appreciate your support. And then we have this. I'm excited. A 23rd time today. My oldest niece had her second baby, a boy, almost 9 pounds. Congratulations. And thank you so much for the super chat. I do appreciate it. And celebrate this. New life is so wonderful. So wonderful. And for all of those of you with the memberships, don't forget it includes access to the Discord where we have lots more information on all the cases we go by in some of the others, Yep, people got membered, Couch. I am very happy, and they can join the Discord and celebrate. We also have talks. We have documentary and movie showings, and we have game nights, and it's just a bunch of people who like true crime, but also small creators from all over. There's all kinds of different conversations going on, and there's also lots of help there. People from different areas of YouTube that do different things in different levels. And I found it very beneficial for those of the small creators just starting out, and even large creators looking for, some inspiration on how to do something, or just taking a different avenue on anything. I just love interacting with everybody. And it's a good place. It's a good place where everybody just gets to be themselves. Okay. So, oh man, 9 pounds though, Shill. Wow. That's a big baby. That's a big baby. Yeah. That's big. Well, I do appreciate it. Thank you much. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of other lawsuits where reputation was at point. And the one that comes to mind the most is from gaming, and that would actually have been Billy Mitchell suing Carl Jobs for blaming him for something that, although Billy Mitchell has a lot that you could say about him, he did take exception to one thing and thought that Carl Jobs knew it wasn't true and went forward with it. In Australia, he won that case. So sometimes using the legal system for your reputation is appropriate when it's outright lie, and it just proved that, like, in some cases, even when you have a bad reputation, the legal system will work for you to prove if something's proof or not. In Australia, they were very fact driven about the whole damn thing, and proved that even if he didn't have the best reputation, this was damaging to say what Carl Jobs had said, into what Carl Jobs had continually doubled down on, even after seeing evidence that it may not be true. And so that is how he lost that one. I'm not so sure. I don't recognize this name. On the subject of gaming lawsuits, are you familiar with the Subnautica one? Not, the name sounds familiar, but I couldn't say I am. I couldn't say that I am, you know. Um, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on this Coffeezilla, this Logan Paul versus Coffeezilla. I think when the judge comes through on this motion to add in all these other third parties for responsibility, it's going to be hard for Logan Paul's team to answer. I do suspect that their team, Logan Paul and his team, will focus on the fact of the reach that Coffeezilla has, and that he's more known for this as investigative journalism, which may slight some other YouTubers out there, but it would be, in an essence, pretty much fact-based, because, I mean, when it comes to finance and scams in tracking the money and proving the case, even in crypto or in investments, when it came to Samuel Bankman-Fried, okay, in many other Ponzi type schemes and MLMs, in Coffeezilla's the source. But I have to agree with him. After seeing some stuff that I saw, like today, the pardon of the Binance CEO, CZ, which actually, in my humble opinion, appears to be bought and paid for over Bitcoin transactions the administration has put forward for the whole family. But I digress. Coffeezilla has a new merch line called Crime is Legal. And well, with the pardons of some of these Bitcoin people lately and some fraud things being overturned, I don't blame him. Crime seems to be legal these days. It's a hashtag I'm going to be using a lot. Yeah. That case, Subnautica, it's an interesting one because I've been curious for a bit to hear you take it on. Well, maybe I should look into it. Send me something. But would take more than a Twitch chat message to explain the situation. That's okay. You know how to reach me, Couch. I'm interested to hear about it now. It might fit one of them, either the fact-based true crime and legal updates on Tuesdays or my what the AF legal on Wednesdays. Even though this is Thursday, like sometimes in real life, like sets me off a few hours, but I'll check into it, you know. And on that note, I'd like to say that anybody that has anything um that they would like me to look into um for a case. I mean, we've got like no real trials until the beginning of 2026, until spring and summer, to cover live. And there's all very little going on. You know, some interesting things, like we did talk about Rex Harriman's DNA coming up, you know, being used in another case appeal. We'll see how that pans out and some stuff. And we've been looking at how DNA is actually exonerating a lot of people lately. I'm fascinated by several states using new technologies, New Jersey being one, New York actually getting approved in the other, Idaho, actually, they did genome testing there too. You know, this is fantastic, especially for cold case crimes and those that feel that they were wrongly convicted and that there was other DNA available. Okay. Well, I know. Don't get me thinking it's Wednesday, because then, you know, because you are excited. It's tomorrow is Friday. You know what? I'm excited tomorrow is Friday too. I like my weekends. And I think the next time I'll be live will be Saturday with, you know, Drager Recker and MC Recker. We will be doing the 48 laws again. And I believe we're on chapter 12. We'll be trying interesting. It's always an interesting conversation. This book, it's put me through my paces, you know. But I look forward to talking to you all again. I really enjoy it out here with you guys. And like I said, I'm not trying to smash anybody on either side of, you know, the hidden true crime restraining orders. I don't think it's just a mess. But I don't think the legal system was the way to straighten it out. I really don't. I think it does look retaliatory in a way, and that's why it came up again in this one. Um, Thank you, Mippy. I appreciate it. I'll go look at it after the stream. I appreciate it. Sending me the Subnautica information. Yeah, something more to research. I'm getting back into my research mode. You know, things have been going crazy, you know, in real life, but I'm trying to pace everything out a little bit better. And I think I'll be going live a little bit later, because that has actually been when I'm freer in the evening. 7 o'clock has been too hard to manage on Tuesdays lately, which is why I pushed it to 9. So I hope you don't mind if you can't be here live. I just, well, I would just say thank you if you would watch the replay, and I'm always available for you to talk to me in the comments. I love getting the comments. I look forward to hearing from you and talking to you. And those of you that are in the Discord, you can always DM me. It's one of the perks of membership is that I'm available, and you can ask me stuff and talk to stuff, and we can set up conversations to go over some of these true crime cases or other cases you want to talk. I know Mippet and I have been sharing information on the mushroom lady in Australia, which was wild, although I didn't cover it publicly. I'm thinking about doing a review of it. Like, she's in appeal now, and I don't know about you, Mippet, but I'm wondering what the heck does she have to appeal? Like, talk about getting caught red-handed. And talk about getting caught during the trial and lie after lie. Like, really, what's the appeal? what are they going to do? You know? And I actually love checking out the law and how they do things in other countries. I've always been fascinated with how Australia does stuff, especially how they treat their cases with the media and keeping everything out until everything's like really done. And that's a good thing, you know. In Canada too, like the legal system is slightly different, you know. In England, way different. They're still wearing wigs, which I find, well, odd, but actually quite, you know, regal. Like it brings some kind of importance to the whole thing, you know. Mrs. Cassandra, stop it. She says, now that I'm a member, how do I get into the Discord? She's been there since day one. You're a mod. Stop it. But I'll tell you, all you have to do is send me a DM, or now that you're a member, you can see the member only post on my community tab, and there will be a discount link in the last one that I posted, and it will bring you in. If you are on Twitch or Kick and you are following me, you need to send me a Discord DM. I have posted my Discord, Claire Bear 5274. You guys can let me just put it in the chat again. Send me a DM and tell me what name you are following me under. And that way I can send you a link. And there it goes there. Okay. All right. So, as always, I would ask you, be respectful to everybody out there that we mention, in these videos. Like I said, I'm not trying to slam anybody on any part of it, although I am kind of partial to Coffeezilla in his lawsuit against Logan Paul. Besides calling him diddums, I don't want to get too harsh, but I do think Logan Paul qualifies as a diddums. But if you disagree, I wouldn't mind hearing from you as to why. But anyway, as Grace says, let's hit that like button on the way out and come back and leave a comment and hype the video. For those of you on mobile, is it swipe to the right, Mrs. Cassandra, and hype the video? You get 3 hypes a week, I believe. And that was excellent, Grace. Thank you for reminding me, because I am really, really bad at this YouTube stuff, is telling people what to do. But if you're on a mobile, you swipe right and the hype comes up. I have not seen it on a PC yet. I can't see it on my own. Occasionally it does come up, but I see it always on the mobile. That is a new way and a new leaderboard that YouTube has put out for creators that actually gets us into different algorithms in different places. But I will say that all of your comments, even if it's only an emoji, has been helping me tremendously. My videos have been making some headway into the algorithm, and I'm getting, as you can see, I am getting more subscribers. And all of you that are the silent subscribers, don't be afraid to come forward. It's really good people in the chat. Met every one of them doing live video of trials, in commenting, in between, and we've had a lot of fun. Yeah, they don't have it for Discord, which is for desktop. Shill is confirming they don't have hype for desktop on YouTube. But that's it. And feel free to contact me. Hit the back of the video for comments. I look forward to hearing from you. I'll see you all on the weekend and next week for more true crime. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the chatters. Thank you to all the viewers later. I really appreciate every single one of you. This is my hobby. I enjoy it tremendously. But it's you, every single one of you, who make it so much more pleasurable for me. So much more worth it. I feel when you're here and you're talking to me and we're engaging, that I'm actually doing something, a little bit different. May not be the same as everybody else out there, and everybody gets to do it their own way, but I really enjoying doing it this way with all of you. So thank you. I'll see you again soon.